Hey there and welcome back to Rimworld. My name is Pete and today we complete another adventure in Rimworld Odyssey. Last time we left off, our spacefaring Stars of Som maxed out their gravship's travel range and we explored the Glowforest, one of Odyssey's new biomes, shrouded in permanent darkness and only capable of sustaining fungi. Also present was a mechanoid relay protected by several stabilizers and dangerous mechanoids themselves, but we took those out, grabbed another gravcore and then landed on this map right here, a sunny coastal atoll, the perfect place to take a short break. Unfortunately, some of our colonists are also suffering from severe psychite withdrawal. For the moment, I think we'll try to push through that. Maybe we can beat at least 1 or 2 addictions, otherwise we will have to invest in the long-term production of psychoid leaves. Now, as you can see here, one of the goals for this layover is to stock up on chem fuel. Unfortunately though, there is not a whole lot of wood on this map, so coinciding with the arrival of the royal tribute collector here, we're going hunting. A sizable herd of bison roams this area, maybe not quite their natural habitat, but we're not going to question that. Either way, Kyla, Brent and Nelgraf take young Cat out for some target practice, hunting the local wildlife as a source for more chem fuel. Reno then swiftly butchers up the bison, and with that, our chem fuel production for the next few days should be secured. It is certainly not the most ethical way of sourcing fuel, but until we can reliably take care of double-digit boomelope numbers, it will have to do. Now, since the meat will eventually be used to power our gravship, we're also fishing and planting some more crops in the meantime, and then we are suddenly visited by alpha beavers. Now, on many other maps, this would be bad. On this one, we will likely hardly notice it. Like I said, there's not too many trees growing here, and since they won't eat wood that has already been chopped, I think we can safely let them be. Early on the next morning then, as we plant a few Tinctoria plants, we are informed that the Hisa Mark II is ready to be launched again, but as you can see, we still have plenty of meat that needs to be turned into chem fuel, so we're going to stay for just a little while longer. Up until this point, we have also only hunted 1/2 of the bison herd, so as you can see, we decimate their population a bit further here, and River sadly suffers one of her rather frequent mental breaks. She may be a full 18-year-old adult at this point, but she's got an addiction and a difficult personality on top of that. We are of course also spending our time on this map gathering more steel and components. A few of both are now being invested into first extra turrets and second into finishing our hospital. In the evening, Itakin Reno also makes our taxonomist Brian proud. He successfully tames one of the alpha beavers. We are now going to name it Loxins after a channel supporter of mine, and then hope that we'll be able to sustain its absolutely massive hunger rate, the main reason why for a change we're only taming one. Then, to help with mood around the colony, we are celebrating a Somnari skyfire. All of our colonists, except for teenager River, assemble to construct sky lanterns and send them up into the night sky. And shortly after River's mental break comes to an end, so does the ritual. It is deemed beautiful for a +6 mood bonus, and we've also attracted some friendly visitors here to watch the mighty Hisa gravship in person and to leave a gift to their spacefaring idols. In the middle of the night then, Saber decides to combat one drug addiction with potentially another. However, before she can touch any of the wake-up we have in storage, we will simply have young Cat put it in her pocket. Being only 9 years old, no one should suspect a thing. On the following morning then, we keep hunting the local wildlife. A few ostriches are getting a little bit too close to our hydroponics basins, and we do of course want to keep the precious rice to ourselves. Our visitors then also decide to leave, and they leave behind a sizable gift of almost 500 silver, a more than 50% increase to our current funds. At this point, we also have the next mental break, this time coming from Brent, who for a change is not addicted, but has seemingly spent a bit too much time around Nelgraf and is getting annoyed by his dark ramblings. Apart from that, the next few hours remain peaceful. We are at this point mainly just waiting for our crops to mature. As you can see, some of our colonists spend their time fishing. Like I said, this is very much intended to be a short vacation for them. Just a few hours later, however, the first Tinctoria plants can be harvested. So we've got a bit more dye coming in to eventually paint the Hisa in a color more befitting, even though its teenage pilot is currently wandering around in a daze. Yes, young River has suffered yet another mental break. Our chem fuel production project is progressing nicely though. Our pawns have been hunting a few more ostriches that Reno can now slaughter. Slowly but steadily, our 2 chem fuel tanks are filling up. As you may have noticed, I've also installed a light ball and some loudspeakers in our common room, because we're now going to have ourselves a celestial celebration, a big dance party. The potential rewards for this one are the exact same as they are for the Somnari Skyfire. Unfortunately, River, Saber and Brent are not attending, but the rest of our pawns are having a grand old time grooving off, and a few hours later it shows. Not only do we get a nice mood bonus of +8, but the loud music also attracts a visitor. However, this one wishes to join us, and well, a capable miner should fit right in, so we welcome colonist number 11 into our ranks, named Fabian, after Patreon supporter Fabian Shuiki. A 25-year-old male, Fabian has a very clear skill profile: mining, animals and intellectual work, and with that, and importantly without any injuries, he should fit right in. After equipping an assault rifle, he first of all strips naked though, a result of the automated clothing policies I've set. Don't worry though, he should soon put on something more suitable. For now, he is still well rested enough to help our mining efforts for a few hours. At this point, we can also take note of the fact that some of our animals are getting quite hungry, including, unsurprisingly, our recently acquired alpha beaver Loxins. However, we're also going to lift off soon, so it doesn't make sense to relocate the hitching spot. Instead, on the next morning, we hunt a mega sloth in an encounter that is perhaps a bit too close for comfort. Reno then butchers up the carcass, gaining a few more 100 units of meat. Saber and the still naked Fabian focus on mining the last few components in the area, while our crafter Brent takes care of the aforementioned nakedness. At this point, we can also bring in a small rice harvest. The only thing we are really still waiting for now is for River to snap out of her mental break, otherwise the Hisa would be without a pilot. In the evening then, we remove the hitching spots, letting all of our animals roam free. This will allow them to search for food on their own, although we of course shouldn't keep things this way for too long, otherwise we run the risk of some animals just running away. Luckily, River comes to her senses a short while later, and with that, I think it's time. As you can see here, Brent has replaced Nelgraf as the Hisa's co-pilot, so no more old man ramblings inside the cockpit, I guess. Either way, this now automatically brings our animals back onto the ship. Chicken Third is the last passenger, and with that, we are good to go. Now, our next destination, I feel, should be the gravcore down here, inside of a frozen terraformer. As you can see though, even at max fuel capacity we can't quite make it there, so we'll visit the nearby archipelago. Hopefully, more fun times at the beach are ahead. And so our small grav ship crosses the vast ocean, only for us to land on yet another fairly unique map. Now, we're not going to stay here long. There's only a few points of interest, some components nearby, and an ancient danger too. A small jade vein sits at its edge, and we kick things off with some action right away in the form of a mad muffalo. Only the single one though, so no big concern. We are also going to launch a caravan almost immediately, a good old-fashioned troop on foot, or rather on horseback, as Reno and Kyla settle up. Taking Smiley, Dralf and plenty of trade goods with them, we're finally getting rid of some of the stuff that has been clogging up our inventory for weeks now. With a much cleaner storage room, the two of them make their way off the map. Saber meanwhile has already finished mining the components and is now working on the jade near the ancient danger. Our caravan then arrives at their destination a mere 2 hours later, and in exchange for our trade goods we're going to grab first of all the robust gene pack, then a medical skill trainer for young Furion, a triple rocket launcher as an emergency weapon, and some EMP grenades which we currently don't have. Especially in space though, mechanoids will likely be our main enemy, so it makes sense to stock up. We have also been chopping plenty of trees near our gravship's landing site, and unsurprisingly we're going to turn the wood into even more chem fuel. Our next destination will be largely frozen, I think, so we should prepare while we still have the chance. Reno and Kyla then also already return from their small horse riding excursion just a few hours later, and that's about the most exciting thing that happens until we reach the late afternoon. Now, on a map like this, with lots of water, a torrential rain could cause problems. Luckily, we don't really plan on sticking around for too much longer, although we do have to wait it out until the next morning. We spent the night boosting Furion's medical skill to level 9. As a non-violent high mate, he strikes me as more suitable for the task than Brent or Saber, who are both also filling important roles as miners and crafters. A short while later, you can see it here, we are relocating our animals, and on the next morning we can watch Brent and Fabian mine out one more source of components before we are then informed that our gravship is ready for liftoff. Before we launch though, let's crack open the ancient danger here. If we don't like what we find, we can just leave, but it could also be something good and not too heavily protected. Okay, cryptosleep caskets protected by a single tesseron. In terms of loot, we have advanced components, a tech print and a bionic heart. Let's take a shot at one of those cryptosleep caskets now to open it up. That should provide a nice distraction for the mech. It also seems like we've got two rival groups of people here. Some of them are hostile to us, others are not, and the two that are hostile are also taking out the mech relatively quickly, and so they're now coming for us. Let's draw them a bit closer to the ship. After all, that's why we installed those turrets, although we need to tell them to stop firing just a few seconds later, as from a safe spot in the door here, Brian is sending in his combat animals. Kevin, Ulfgar and Terra Kittens should have little trouble dealing with the last enemy. Once that last enemy is down, we rush our pawns into the ancient danger. We have one survivor here that we can rescue and plenty of flames to beat out. The bionic heart is already ablaze, but luckily we will be able to save it. And from the hermetic crate here, we are also able to loot 17 units of luciferium. Eventually then we carry everything back to the ship, including the hearts that almost didn't make it. 10-year-old Furion meanwhile takes care of our patient, who is thankfully not too heavily wounded. With all injuries tended to and another night setting in, we are then preparing for the gravship launch. This time our destination is the frozen terraformer here, holding another gravcore. So here we are then, we have arrived at the frozen terraformer. The device itself and the gravcore it contains are somewhere beneath the ice here. The rest of the map meanwhile does not have much to offer. To get to the gravcore we will need to mine the ice away. It is not quite as durable as stone, nonetheless this can be a tedious process. Our animals then only find a small patch of grazable land. Don't get fooled by the outside temperatures here, currently at well over 20 degrees Celsius. Technically it may be summer here at the moment, but the terraformer's deep freeze overrides that, so we will very soon experience much colder temperatures. Now, since there won't be much else to do initially, we might as well start up some research again. Recon armor strikes me as a sensible project to tackle at this point, even though we scavenged several suits of tainted marine armor from the fight a few minutes ago. To get things started then, we watch as Saber digs herself deeper and deeper into the ice. Unfortunately, she also suffers a drug-related mental break just in that moment, so we have Brent pick up where she left off. And there we go, looks like we found a wall. This one obviously not made from ice, so at this point we're looking for an entrance. Unfortunately, these walls are fortified and can therefore not be destroyed. We've also got Brent on his way here to explore the ice a bit further to the east, but before he can find anything, we are interrupted by another pawn joining our colony. The one we just rescued has decided to stick around, so we're going to name her Deborah after patron Deborah Mitchell. Her last name, Cannon, also describes her skill set rather well, I'd say. Outside of shooting things, we could use her as an artist. In Vincent van Gogh-like fashion, she's actually missing an ear, although unlike the Dutch painter, she's got a bionic replacement. For now, she'll stay in bed and continue to recover as Fabian finds an entrance. The fact that it is a blast door that we first need to hack tells us that we are in the right place. A few minutes later, our teenage intellectual prodigy River already has the job completed. Just in that moment, we are also informed that a sparrow has self-tamed, so let's name her Judai, I hope I pronounced that correctly, after channel supporter Judai Yuki. Fabian then also detects a wall in the cluster of ice to the northeast, and this one we could in theory deconstruct, although the game won't let us because there is apparently a sentry drone nearby, so we might want to keep a distance for now. Digging through the ice around the wall then reveals a door a few minutes later, but one thing after another, let us first pass through the one promising a gravcore. Alex is first inside, finding a pallet of survival meals just behind the entrance. We then open the door into the next room, and just like that we have already found the terraformer. Unfortunately, it too is protected by various types of drones, so at least for the moment we retreat a bit. We have one of them already in pursuit. All of these sentry drones carry short-range scatterguns. This of course makes them very well suited for guarding close quarters, but overall they're not too tough and don't really stand much of a chance if engaged in melee combat. Things get even easier if you can isolate one and gang up on it. So, there we go, the first target is down. For the rest of them then, we need to enter their turf. This is admittedly made a bit more tricky by the fact that we only have a one-tile wide corridor here, and not really a whole lot of room to spread out behind the door either. So our backup here has an effect, but probably only a limited one. Regardless, eventually the next drone goes down and we swarm the place to take care of the other one, and a short while later that one too is defeated. Knowing where the terraformer is already, we crack open the door to the south here next, only to find yet another surprise drone behind it. Alex fights bravely to take it out, and at this point Fabian and Nelgraf can destroy the terraformer. As you can see, neither one of them actually has to step into the chamber to do so, and so we don't need to fight the remaining drones just yet. Following its destruction, the device then drops a gravcore as well as steel and components, and at this point we bring Ulfgar and Terra Kittens into the fray. I have briefly set River as their master, and in her service they will now deal with the remaining defenses. Those unfortunately also include yet another sentry drone that emerged from the room on the right, but we're talking about two very powerful animals here, and so they make quick work of both it and the turret in the corner. To trigger the hunter trap in the opposite corner, I then sent in River, only for yet another sentry drone to emerge. So River hightails it out of here while the two animals engage. This could hurt a bit, but they should survive. Right, so admittedly, our Rhino Ulfgar here is looking rough, but on the bright side, all defenses have been cleared for now, so let's grab the loot and get out of here. We will of course return to clear out the rest of this facility, as well as the other one we detected, but I think as a new morning dawns here, our fighters have earned themselves some rest. While our latest recruit Deborah is still recovering, Reno can already begin converting her, and with that I think we have reached a good point to make the cut for today. While we enjoy some wonderful fan art from Gracie, let me quickly outline the next steps. We are of course going to fully explore all of what this map here has to offer, and then I think we need to start investing into some proper firepower for the gravship, stuff that lets us finally tackle missions with a few more enemies. So I hope you're looking forward to that, and of course I also hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, then I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can of course also go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or become a channel member or Patreon supporter. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.